And Rich, what about you and your journey?
How much of it do you want to hear?
Well, we'll have to have you back on for a deeper dive. But if you could just give us the highlights of like the aha moments, I guess.
Oh, well, I mean, I was raised, yes, in what I call the atheistic cult of the cult of atheist Zionism posing as Judaism. It's pretty difficult to describe. I mean, because it exists in the context of houses of worship, but they're really there to worship Jewish tribal identity and the Jewish state. And that's how I was raised. I mean, God was mentioned in the course of the services, but not taken seriously. There's a lot of atheism in the Jewish world. The Zionist movement was started by atheists and was universally rejected by Orthodox Judaism for the first 20 or 30 years. Okay. And, it's probably not advisable to get deep into religion here, because obviously people of various faiths and people of no faith can see the obvious moral issue here and the moral necessity to support the Palestinians. But as long as you're asking me about my own journey, the first step for me was coming into an awareness of one God and seeing that being raised with atheism and the worship of Jewish tribe and the Jewish state was not in tune with belief in one God. But still, even though I had that fundamental change and such a problem with the way I was raised, my Zionist indoctrination was so deep that it stayed with me for another couple of decades, really. Until at a point, I just became curious about the Palestinian point of view, because the conflict seemed to be so intractable and so persistent. And I just decided that I wanted to hear what they had to say. And I fully expected that once I heard what they had to say, that it would reinforce my Zionism. And it didn't. There was a particular moment when I happened to be in Providence, Rhode Island, and there was a table put out by activists on the grounds of the state capitol, and I picked up some literature. And that was the first stuff I read, and that led to about 8 years of nonstop research, whereby I re-educated myself, and I read the Jewish revisionist historians, because we Jews, we need to hear it from other Jews first. And then, of course, I read Palestinian writers and writers who were from neither camp. And I really developed a hunger and a thirst for more and more information, because I was really shocked at having been lied to my whole life. And it had a terrible emotional effect on me. I mean, I cried, I got drunk. It was very difficult to deal with the fact that, I had been a Zionist youth group president as a teenager. I think you mentioned it when you introduced me. And it made me feel like, I put it this way, I feel like I was the driver of a getaway car and nobody told me they robbed the bank, I was, in a very small way, a part of this monstrous crime that Zionism has committed in Palestine, in a small way, but it really made me feel that I wanted to right a wrong. Mm. So that is what the basis of my involvement has been. What I want to say is this, my family lost people in the Holocaust. Hitler murdered members of my family in Poland. And I think that, generally speaking, non-Jewish people like to tiptoe around Jewish sensibilities. Nobody wants to offend the survivors of the Holocaust. Yeah. And you know what? It's time to do that. It's time to not let your Jewish relatives, friends, neighbors get away with supporting Israel while Israel is committing a genocide, okay? Israel is not the answer to the Holocaust. Zionism existed prior to the Holocaust. It was committing crimes at that time. It has committed monstrous crimes against humanity since 1948, okay? So there really is no relationship. And this is the problem that I have with Holocaust education, is that we learn about the Holocaust and it points directly to, well, Israel saved us. No, it didn't. Israel is a crime, and we don't save ourselves by committing a crime, okay? We can talk about other ways to keep Jews safe. I'm safe here in New Jersey. The only people that are giving me a bad time are Jewish Zionists, okay? So we can't tiptoe around Jewish sensibilities where Israel is concerned. If we have to confront our Jewish friends and neighbors and say, look, I know you love Israel, but it's committing genocide right now, and I don't support that. Let them deal with the fallout of that statement. Let them deal with the cognitive dissonance, because you know what? A change of heart begins with cognitive dissonance. That's how it happened with me. I was brought up with Zionist brainwashing, and I just started to get this feeling maybe the Palestinians have a point of view. So that's what we need to do. We need to step in and just speak truth.